Rain tapped against the windowpane as Emma sat at her kitchen table, holding a glossy white wedding invitation in her trembling hands. The gold letters shone mockingly under the light. You are cordially invited to the wedding of Daniel Carter and Vanessa Hayes. Daniel. Her ex-fiancé. The man she thought would be her forever. She had loved him with every fiber of her being, only to have him leave her suddenly for Vanessa, a woman he claimed made him feel alive again. Emma hadn't thought she would be invited, yet here it was, a cruel reminder that not only had Daniel moved on, but he wanted her to see it. To sit among smiling guests while he married someone else. Her stomach knotted. She thought of ignoring it, but she knew the whispers would follow her. She also knew Daniel's circle, his friends, his family. They would expect her to attend, if only to prove she was fine. But she wasn't fine. She hadn't been fine since the day Daniel left. Her phone buzzed, jolting her from her storm of thoughts. It was her neighbor, Luke. Luke was a single dad raising his little girl, Lily, all on his own. He had moved into the apartment next door a year ago, and in that time, Emma had come to see him as a quiet, steady presence. He was kind, hardworking, and dedicated to his daughter. He was also the opposite of Daniel in every way, no games, no pretenses, just a man doing his best. You okay? Luke's voice came through the line, warm and deep. Emma hesitated, then blurted, I just got invited to my ex's wedding. There was silence for a moment. Then Luke said, almost casually, so, do you have someone to go with? Emma laughed bitterly. No. Do you think I'd bring a date just to sit there and watch my ex get married? But Luke didn't laugh. His voice softened. Then take me. Emma froze. What? I'll go with you, Luke said simply. As your date. No one has to know the details. Let them see you're not alone. Let them see you're stronger than they think. Her heart pounded. Part of her wanted to refuse, to protect him from the spectacle, but another part felt something stir. Hope. Emma agreed, though doubt gnawed at her. Could she really face Daniel again? Could she walk into that wedding without breaking? The day arrived. Emma slipped into a deep navy gown that hugged her curves, her hair falling in soft waves. She barely recognized the reflection staring back at her. For the first time in months, she looked alive. Luke arrived in a crisp black suit, Lily waving from behind him. You look beautiful, he said sincerely, and something in Emma's chest shifted. Together, they drove to the grand estate where the wedding was being held. The hall buzzed with music and laughter, chandeliers sparkling overhead. Emma's heart nearly gave out when she spotted Daniel at the altar, handsome as ever in his tailored suit, Vanessa radiant by his side. But then she felt Luke's steady hand slip into hers. Breathe, he whispered. I've got you. Throughout the ceremony, Luke never let go. When whispers floated through the crowd about Emma's presence, Luke met them with a proud smile, as if daring anyone to pity her. When Daniel's eyes flickered toward her, surprise flashing across his face, Emma lifted her chin higher, her fingers tightening around Luke's. By the time the vows ended and the applause rang through the hall, Emma realized something startling. She hadn't cried. She had braced herself for pain, for heartbreak, but instead, she felt stronger. And when Luke leaned down and murmured, proud of you, she felt something else too. Something dangerous. Something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. The reception was in full swing. Guests danced under golden lights, champagne flowed freely, and laughter filled the air. Emma sat at the table beside Luke, her nerves finally loosening. Daniel and Vanessa floated around the room, greeting their guests. But when Daniel reached Emma's table, his eyes locked on Luke. Emma, Daniel said smoothly, though his jaw tightened. I didn't expect you to come. And with company. Luke rose, extending his hand. Luke Harrison. Emma's date. The grip between the two men lingered longer than necessary, tension crackling in the air. Daniel forced a smile before turning back to Emma. Well, I'm glad you came. Truly. I hope you've moved on. I have, Emma said, her voice firm. She didn't look at Daniel, though. She looked at Luke. Hours passed. The music grew louder, the crowd rowdier. Emma excused herself to the terrace for some fresh air, her heart still racing from the confrontation. Moments later, Luke joined her. You okay? She nodded, staring out at the twinkling lights of the city below. I never thought I'd survive seeing him again. But I did. Because of you. Luke stepped closer, his voice low. You didn't just survive. You showed him he doesn't own you anymore. Something in Emma's chest cracked open. She turned to him, eyes shining. Why did you come with me, Luke? Really? Luke hesitated, then sighed. Because I know what it feels like to be left behind. My wife, she walked out on me and Lily 2 years ago. Said family life was too much for her. I've been trying to hold it together ever since. And when you told me about the wedding, I couldn't stand the thought of you facing that pain alone. You deserve someone to stand by you. Emma's throat tightened. She had always admired Luke's strength, but hearing his story now, she realized he wasn't just strong, he was broken too. Broken, but still fighting. Her eyes blurred with tears as she whispered, You've given me more than Daniel ever did. You've given me respect. Safety. Hope. Luke's hand brushed her cheek, lingering just long enough to make her heart race. But before either of them could say more, a voice cut through the night. It was Daniel. Emma, he said, stepping onto the terrace, his expression unreadable. I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you before. Emma froze, her tears drying instantly. Luke's hand slipped protectively around her waist. Daniel's eyes flickered between them, then landed on her. I made a mistake. I thought Vanessa was what I wanted, but seeing you tonight, seeing you with him, he swallowed hard. I realize I never stopped loving you. The words hit her like a blow, but instead of the longing she once thought she'd feel, Emma only felt anger. She stepped forward, her voice steady. You don't get to say that. You don't get to walk out of my life, marry someone else, and then come back as if I'd been waiting. You don't own me, Daniel. Not anymore. Tears burned her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. Instead, she turned and took Luke's hand. I may not know what tomorrow looks like, but I know this, standing here with Luke feels more real than anything I ever had with you. Daniel's face paled, his mouth opening, but no words came. Emma didn't wait for them. She walked away, her heart pounding, Luke at her side. Later that night, when Luke dropped her home, Emma lingered at the door. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For being there. For seeing me. Luke smiled softly. Always. And for the first time in years, Emma closed her door not with emptiness, but with hope. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew one thing, she had survived the hardest moment of her life, and she wasn't alone anymore. As she crawled into bed, tears slipped down her cheeks, but they weren't from heartbreak this time. They were from relief. From gratitude. From the terrifying, beautiful realization that her story wasn't over. It was just beginning.